In our pursuit of progress, we often overlook the silent forces that shape our societies. As the prices around us rise and our currencies lose value, we find ourselves trapped in a cycle. What if I told you that this phenomenon is not merely an economic anomaly, but a reflection of our deeply ingrained human nature? Human civilization has always grappled with inflation. Prices rise, currencies lose value, and the things we once took for granted now require more effort to obtain. This isn't a random occurrence. It is as if governed by an invisible law that eludes our understanding. Each civilization, no matter how advanced, seems to succumb to this cycle of rising prices and shifting values. Why does this happen? Are we like the 5 blind men attempting to understand an elephant? Economists may point fingers at central banks, politicians may decry globalization, while consumers often cast blame on corporations. Very few grasp the entirety of this intricate tapestry. Inflation is not simply an economic issue, it is a symptom of who we are. Our intrinsic desire for growth, the fear of scarcity, and our collective optimism about the future drive us to expand. Money becomes much more than a mere measure of worth, it mirrors our ambitions and anxieties. The price of a cup of coffee, rising over decades, reflects the cost of our dreams. Inflation, in essence, is the heartbeat of civilization, the price we pay for progress itself. But what if inflation merely masks a deeper truth, a law governing the interaction of value and distribution? At its core, human civilization is governed by 2 fundamental forces, distribution and valuation. These forces underlie everything ranging from economics and politics to culture and technology. They define how value is distributed and how we determine what things are worth. When distribution becomes too uniform, society leans toward communism, where equality may sound appealing but often stifles motivation. In such a scenario, the diligent effort of hard-working individuals becomes irrelevant. They are rewarded no more than those who contribute. Consequently, innovation dwindles and productivity suffers. Conversely, when wealth becomes skewed and concentrated in the hands of a select few, society descends into instability. As inequality rises, resentment, corruption, and unrest emerge. The top 1% accumulate wealth, while the majority struggles to survive. True stability, then, lies not in perfect equality, but in balanced asymmetry. One that preserves incentives while ensuring fairness. Valuation, too, plays a critical role. Overvaluation can lead to economic bubbles, where perceptions dominate reality. Think of fashion trends, NFTs, and cryptocurrencies. These phenomena exemplify how value can inflate faster than real worth, often leading to inevitable corrections. Conversely, when something is undervalued, it risks stagnation. Innovation throttles as true worth is ignored, stifling investment and leading primary pessimism. Distribution and valuation are continuously at play, each influencing the other. A skewed distribution can distort how we value resources, and irrational valuations create winners and losers. Not necessarily by merit, but by timing and perception. Together, these forces shape every system, from marketing to ideology to art and technology. To understand civilization itself, we must grasp the delicate balance between distribution and valuation. This fundamental premise invites deep reflection on how we navigate our collective futures. A transaction, at its essence, is a simple social act, an exchange between 2 individuals. One may offer rice in return for meat. Each party recognizes the intrinsic value of what they receive, allowing the transaction to conclude. Initially, this value exchange feels direct and clear. One can compare what is given with what is received. Yet simplicity has its constraints. Goods must be transported and stored, each subject to liquidation. Such physical limitations restrict the efficiency of transactions, rendering them local and fragile. The advent of currency emerged as a revolutionary solution. By abstracting value scalable and devoid of time or place constraints. Money enabled value to traverse distances without physical weight and to be stored free of decay. Arguably one of humanity's most significant innovations. However, this abstraction gave rise to a profound shift in transactions. When value is no longer directly perception, scarcity becomes something manufacturers can create rather than an inherent quality. Prices rise not out of intrinsic value, but as access is restricted. Likewise, those with substantial capital can buy in bulk, controlling supply chains and forming monopolies. This transformation has led to the emergence of social debt. When one party accumulates excess currency, society must ultimately produce to redeem that wealth. Money ceases to be merely value, it transforms into a claim on future production. Every increment of profit hinges on labor, resources, or creativity that must be delivered by others. Wealth concentration creates an obligation for society. It must continue to produce to satisfy those claims. The consequences are profound. Those wielding surplus currency can dictate what society creates next. Their spending decisions shape demand. Their investments decide which industries thrive and which vanish. Rather than producing what is needed, society may produce what capital chooses to fund. This mechanism conveys both promise and peril. With judicious leadership and a long-term vision, capital can guide us toward meaningful progress. Advancing infrastructure, healthcare, education, and sustainable technology. In such scenarios, money becomes a critical steering mechanism, channeling human effort toward collective improvement. Yet, when driven by short-sighted or detrimental intentions, capital can distort production. Society may find itself focusing on superficial services, addictive entertainment, or activities devoid of real value. Human potential is consumed, but civilization does not advance. Thus, the principles governing transactions are not morally neutral. Each transaction denotes more than an exchange of goods. It communicates direction, subtly dictating the question: what should society prioritize next? In a monetized context, every transaction reverberates through time, remolding incentives, redistributing effort, and shaping the future of collective labor. The world, in almost every measurable aspect, adheres to patterns of uneven distribution. Wealth, talent, and resources seldom reside evenly. They often follow statistical curves like a /90. Understanding these patterns can illuminate the broader narrative of human struggle, progress, and the quest for meaning. Inflation, while often viewed as an economic barrier, beckons deeper reflection. It serves as a reminder that our aspirations and anxieties are not merely individual experiences, but shared phenomena. As we navigate the complexities of distribution and valuation, we glean insights that extend beyond financial well-being. They touch the very essence of our humanity. As we close this contemplative, let us